Let's move to the Palestinian issue right now, but we're going to go back to Washington, where the Prime Minister was also speaking at a Center for American Progress think tank, and he reiterated that he is ready to negotiate with the Palestinians. However, Netanyahu admitted that he currently sees no solution to the volatile conflict surrounding the Temple Mount.
I think on the question of territories and borders, this is about 95% of what Israel has to cede. On the question of mutual recognition, that is recognition of a Jewish state, nation state of the Jewish people, and the security arrangements and so on, that's what we need on the other side. There's the question of the Jerusalem and specifically the Temple Mount. I think it's insoluble. I mean, I just don't see right now a solution for that, and I think it has to remain under Israeli sovereignty, and that's the only way to prevent this from exploding.
So we see, he says he's in favor of a two-state solution, and he's putting the blame on the Palestinians. So where do we go from here?
Well, we have to put the Palestinian issue in the proper context. The proper context is there have been many more Arabs murdered by Palestinian terrorism than Jews. The fact that the Arab world is turning its back on the Palestinians, is not interested in the current wave of terrorism and violence, has risen. And the reason is that Palestinians, Mahmoud Abbas in person, they were involved in terrorism, subversion in Egypt in the 1950s, had to flee Egypt. They were involved in terrorism in Syria in the 1960s, they had to flee Syria. They had to flee Jordan in 1970 because they triggered a civil war in Jordan. And they caused a series of civil wars and much bloodshed in Lebanon. They collaborated with Saddam Hussein's invasion of Kuwait. Palestinians had to flee Syria now because they served as one of the ruthless arms of Assad. Palestinians fled Iraq because they served as one of the ruthless arms of Saddam Hussein. There is a reason why Arabs do not send much money but much rhetoric to the Palestinians, and that puts in context the probability of peace. But more than that, for one to assume that there is a good chance of having peace between Israel and the Palestinians, one has to ask oneself, how come for the last 1400 years there hasn't been intra-Arab peaceful coexistence? Are we to believe that the Arabs will shower upon the so-called infidel Jew that which they have refrained from sharing with one another, peaceful coexistence?
Well, keeping that in mind, Ambassador, do you think that the Obama administration perhaps has come to the understanding that they're not going to be able to reach any sort of peace process between Israel and the Palestinians, and maybe they just want to say, this is the situation now?
Well, hopefully the meeting with Netanyahu proves that the Obama administration is finally coming at grip with the reality of the Middle East. In fact, Obama would not allow the short-term conflict with Israel over Iran to do away with a long-term synergy between the US and Israel. And that proves a certain level of maturity on the part of the White House.